Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold I-CAR certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
Ready to be part of something big? Meet the Rapid City Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their number one priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at barronswilson.com.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
No. The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold with a valuation of $10 billion. ESPN broke the news earlier today that the Buss family has agreed to sell majority ownership of the Lakers to TWG Global CEO Mark Walter, who had a 20% minority share since 2021. Jeannie Buss is expected to remain with the franchise as the team's governor following the sale of the team. Now, Walter, who also serves as the CEO of the Guggenheim Group that owns the Dodgers, had the right of first refusal to purchase the majority stake. Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton says he'll be a game-time decision for tomorrow's Game 6 against the Thunder because of a strained calf. Halliburton did what he could in practice on Wednesday, says he's doing everything he can to play Thursday. Sportico says Rays owner Stu Sternberg's on the verge of selling that team to a Jacksonville, Florida-based group for $1.7 billion. Coastal Carolina on their way to the College World Series final. I'm Dan Biden.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, let's get this going. Good Wednesday afternoon. How are you? The Nate Brown Show back in and ready on Fox Sports Radio. We are live. South Dakota Sports Talk Show, where it's always a great day in South Dakota, the motto of the show. Also, the theme of the show. Let's get some great guests. Let's have some thought-provoking sports talk. Let's get after it a little bit tonight. Have some fun on a Wednesday. Want to make your 2 hours some entertaining fun here and get you some info you maybe don't know from guests across the country, from local, regional to national sports. We got you covered. South Dakota Sports Talk Show back in on Fox Sports Radio. Reminder, stream us on X at Nate Brown Show. So if you're on X, follow the show and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. Also, YouTube is live right now. The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. Subscribe. And you've got us. Welcome in wherever you're at tonight in South Dakota. Let's look at the guest lineup and we'll get going. We've got Brian Henson on the way. He covered the Fever Sun MMA match last night. This WNBA game that went off the charts. I got home and I'm watching the end of it and I'm going, man, what did I miss here tonight? Brian Henson covering the Fever, Caitlin Clark in this scenario. Brian Henson's on from IndyStar.com. We'll get to him. Kevin Marshall's going to join us tonight. Kevin is a guy who hosts an FCS football show. He's got numerous affiliates across the country. Really good FCS football guy. Kevin Marshall, live from Montana. His company is FCS Nation Radio. We'll talk FCS with Kevin Marshall on tap. FCS Nation Radio. Scott Agnes is on tonight. Game 6 of the NBA Finals tomorrow. Back in Indianapolis. Scott Agnes from Fieldhouse Files. Can the Pacers survive? We'll get to him coming up. And Keith Smith on the way, NBA analyst, national contributor for Spot Track, covering the NBA and the transactions. Is Kevin Durant on the move? Where did we think Giannis will end up? Back in Milwaukee? I don't know. We'll see. We'll get into that. Keith Smith on tap. And then the big transaction today, we'll talk to Keith about the Lakers selling majority stake, $10 billion valuation. That's not too bad, right? We're all just grinding away on this Wednesday, and the Lakers going to sell for $10 billion. Have fun with that. Keith Smith on tap. So a busy basketball show and a lot to cover, a little football drama. Let's get into this. The Nate Brown Show Pizza Ranch studio hotline for you, 605-720-1067. If you're not doing anything on this Wednesday, you're just listening to the show, you can be a part of the show, 605-720-1067, the Pizza Ranch studio hotline. Powered by the Pizza Ranch at East 10th Street in Sioux Falls, also in Brandon, and 2 locations in Rapid City. Get to the Pizza Ranch, the home of everyone's favorite buffet, best buffet by far. Also, the Barron's Wilson text line open and ready, 605-720-1067. That's how you text the show. We don't get it any other way. You can text us on the text line, 605-720-1067. Put that listener text line in your phone if you want to contribute to the show there. Also, interact with us on Twitter. We do check that throughout the show, so our question of the day is posted up there. You can interact with us on Twitter at Nate Brown Show. All right. Well, I didn't think we'd get into this, and I don't think our friend John Schemmel thought he'd get into this. He was just having a little fun. I've known John now. We've had him on the show numerous times, the USD athletic director. We've got football, FCS, FBS drama, and South Dakota's kind of in the middle of this thing. Let me break this down for you. So yesterday's show, yesterday, we had John Schemmel on. USD athletic director. He's been working through this House settlement and what are the Coyotes going to do and the whole thing. We had a nice discussion with him yesterday. Well, everything last night went a little wild on social media. It's a fun place, an interesting place, but it went a little wild last night. John Schemmel posted out there regarding Sacramento State. And so let's bring this story on. We got some drama tonight. This is good stuff. FCS and FBS and the drama in between. What happened here? So let me give you the story. You've heard about this. Sacramento State is trying to leave the FCS to go to FBS. Okay? Sacramento State's been to the Big Sky Conference how long? 30 years? So they've been to the Big Sky Conference with the Montana States, the Montanas of the world. And so Sacramento State has ramped up all this NIL fundraising. They're going to get a new facility. They're going to get a new stadium. They say, we're going to ramp this thing up, and we're going to go FBS. And they've made a huge push on this. Their president is Luke Wood, and he's been out front, huge supporter. He is president leadership there at Sac State. Luke Wood's like, we're going FBS, whether you like it or not, whether anybody says we can or not, we're going FBS, end of story. Well, there's some things that kind of have to fall into place, not just the fundraising, the facilities. You kind of have to have a conference invitation these days. You kind of have to have somebody say, we'll welcome you in and let's do this transition, and we want you in, like the Mountain West or somebody like that. That's really part of the deal. It really is. And we'll see how this plays out, but that's a big X factor in this. So here's the story. Sac State says we're going FBS. And in the process, Luke Wood, the president at Sacramento State, was asked, why are you going FBS? You've been FCS. Sacramento State's been to the Big Sky Conference. What's the deal here? He essentially, in one of the interviews, referred to the FCS as JV football. We're not going to play JV football anymore. We're going to play varsity football. We're going to go with the big boys in the FBS. So our friend John Schemmel, USD athletic director, last night, as he was on this show, essentially, I didn't think this was going to create a deal. He sent a message out when he saw that Sac State's kind of maybe running into some roadblocks with jumping to the FBS. The football committee said, we recommend you don't allow this waiver. So the football committee at the Division I level has already said, we recommend you don't allow Sacramento State to get a waiver. They don't have a conference invite. Okay, that's the story. John Schimmel saw that news that Sac State may not be able to get to the FBS. And here's what John Schimmel sent on X. All of us JV programs are excited to compete against a varsity program. So what does that mean? Walk us through that. Okay, I'll take you through it. The Sacramento State president referred to the FCS like USD, like SDSU, and whoever else as JV football. And John Schimmel at USD said, hey, all of us JV programs, we're excited to compete now against a varsity program. Sac State's going to probably have to stay FCS is what he's saying, kind of. Well, guess what happened after that? It was just lighthearted, a little fun, like, hey, Sac State, you're not quite going to jump there yet. You might have to stay with us JV teams in the FCS, and we'll see how much of a varsity program you are. The Sacramento State president, who I just mentioned, Luke Wood, responded back to John Schimmel last night after the show. I was seeing the stuff break out last night. Dr. Luke Wood said to John Schimmel, we'd put up 50 points on you all this year. Best of luck with your conference. Well, FCS, FBS drama on a summer day? What's going on? There's no offseason. This is serious stuff. Dr. Luke Wood, we'd put up 50 points on you all this year. Saying, Sac State, man, we'd put up 50 on USD and whoever else. Best of luck with your conference, John Schimmel. That's what he did. And guess what? He deleted it. I thought it was just a little back and forth, a little hit, a little, kind of hit you in the, knock your lung loose a little bit, and then I hit you in the sternum. We're back and forth. And then the Sac State president deleted that last night. I don't know if he thought, man, maybe since I'm trying to get into a conference, I'm trying to get to the FBS, maybe I don't want to go the D1 route of, like, losing support. I'm kind of maybe a little too bold. So that's the drama. And I got to say, it's okay. Everybody kind of says this or that. You're on social media. I think our guy John Schimmel was fine saying, hey, he took a shot at us saying FCS is JV. Maybe we'll get to play this varsity program. And by the way, who gets to play the varsity program? Who gets to play Sacramento State? Do you guys know? South Dakota State. South Dakota State head coach Dan Jackson, they get to play Sacramento State this year, first game, August 30th. We had a little JV varsity matchup right there. Boy, this will be interesting, right? A little connection there. It wasn't Justin Sell, but it was John Schimmel. And so then you had this. Yote fans were mad at Sacramento State, the president, for saying that they'd put up 50 points on you. So Yote fans are against Sac State. So Yote fans, I'm talking to you guys tonight. Are you going to cheer for South Dakota State on August 30th against Sac State? Did the president of Sac State step in a mess, and now the Yotes are actually going to unite with the Jacks for that one day, the Jacks JV against Sacramento State and their powerhouse program, supposedly? We'll see how that plays out. Takes a lot for Yote fans to join the Jacks on anything. What a deal. What a scenario. I never thought I'd see little FCS, FBS drama with Sacramento State. And here's what I'll say about Sac State, and then I'll move on. So Sacramento State's not totally dead on this. I do want to tell you, they're going to go to the Division I Council next week. So the football committee recommended, don't give them a waiver. They don't have a conference. That's not going to work. So the football committee said, we don't want them in FBS. They don't make the final call. So the president of Sac State, Luke Wood, has actually released a big deal here to the D1 Council saying why they should get in. He said, I know the football committee said no. Here's why you guys should reconsider. Huge market. No Division I football at the FBS level. We've got the money. We're going to have the facilities. Just consider why we want to get in. Sacramento is a real deal market. So he's going down that road. And I got to say, I know John Schimmel's hitting Sac State a little bit. We're having fun with it back and forth. The president of Sac State deleted his response, didn't want to rile up the Yotes anymore. But I got to tell you, do you think it's actually a bold move? I got to ask you, is it a bold move for Sacramento State to make this jump? Because you got to have presidents that have, whether you like Luke Wood or not, he's out there supporting it. I mean, he's out there big time in it. Is it a bold move to take when you say, hey, we're going to raise money, NIL, we're going to do facilities, we got a huge market in Sacramento, we're going to get into this thing, and we're going to get ahead of everybody else. We're going to get going on this. Do you think it's bold, or was this a bad play for Sacramento State to even try going the FBS route right now? That's my question of the day. I want you to be honest. Be honest as you think about this. Here's where I'm at. Sacramento State hasn't been that good. I mean, it's not about how good you are. You have to remember that. They haven't been that good, so it's going to be a struggle for these guys. At the FBS level, if they ever get there, it's going to be a struggle for these guys, big time. And we've seen this now with teams. Sam Houston State, some of these programs that make the jump out of FCS because they think we can do better. We got a better market. We got some population. We're going to get some revenue. We can do better. And it turns out they just kind of mix into mediocrity or worse. Sam Houston State used to be a big-time program. We saw them in the FCS on the rise. The only program that I can think of that's done pretty well is James Madison. I mean, there might be a couple others here or there lately, but the one that I remember, James Madison, it's turned out pretty good for them. They had strong support, made the jump. There's a lot of teams that are still trying to figure it out. I mean, you could even go as far back as Appalachian State. Appalachian State used to be FCS. And when they jumped, they did okay. They've been fine. They haven't, lit people up lately. I mean, Appalachian State hasn't been like a powerhouse. It's not one of those things. So that's the thing with Sacramento State. I think they might have jumped it a little early. I do think you got to ramp things up first, be a powerhouse in the FCS, get the support, ramp it up, then wait and see how it plays out. That's how I would have done it. I do think it's not like I'm poo-pooing Luke Wood and Sac State for trying it. I like guys that want to try it. I like, hey, let's do this. I want to get to the highest level. I'm okay with that. I'm not saying the FCS is the end-all, be-all. I'm not. Some people say that. I want a future. I want the future to be USD and South Dakota State playing in the FBS level, and I want it to be different than what it is now. I think you're going to have a super league with the top 40, 50, and I think there's going to be a really nice league, and I want SDSU and USD to be in that league. I really do. I don't want them to continue to have to play some of these teams that they play. I mean, Illinois State's not serious, guys. I mean, some of these teams, they're not serious. So we can't be like, well, we're the king powerhouse. We're the major factor, and we're going to win it all the time. A lot of the FCS programs aren't serious. And I know we took the JV thing and took offense to it. I don't think Luke Wood's talking JV football was SDSU and USD and NDSU and Montana State, but there is a bunch of JV programs. So Sacramento State, I think, just put the old cart before the horse. You know how that goes. I think they put the cart before the horse. I don't know if they're going to get approved next week or not. They're making the big play. I don't think it was the smartest play to do it now, but I understand where they're trying to go. In that California market, a bunch of people there. There could be some support. You can't tell me if San Jose State can be FBS. That's San Jose State. Sacramento State can probably get there, but I think it's too early, too soon for Sac State. That's my read. You tell me. 605-720-1067 is the Barron's Wilson text line. Sacramento State, finish the sentence for me. Finish the sentence for me on the Nate Brown Show. Question of the day. Sacramento State going all in now on joining the FBS without a conference invite is What? Bold? Trying to get ahead of others, or reckless? It's going to set them back. What would be your vote? Put it on the text line if you would, 605-720-1067. What's your real take? I think it's not like reckless. I don't think they're going to go down this road and just be forgotten. They did it too soon. They did it too quickly. No conference invite saying we're just going to go for broke. I don't know if that's going to work out. I don't think you can just force your way in. I don't. We'll see. D1 Council meets next week. You tell me. Sacramento State. Little FCS, FBS drama tonight. John Schimmel. I like it. A little back and forth. Sacramento State going all in on joining the FBS without a conference invite is what to you? Bold, you got to do it to get ahead of others? Or reckless? It'll set them back. It won't set them back, but it was not the right call to me yet. This is Sacramento State. They haven't done anything in the FCS. Put something together first, see how the landscape's going to change in college sports, and then I think you might be ready. They're not ready now. They're going to join the Big West, though. They even announced that today. They're jumping out of the Big Sky Conference, too. So that's kind of a reckless maybe there, because they're jumping out of the Big Sky Conference because they want to keep this quest to be D1 FBS football. So they're going to go Big West for all their other sports, and if they don't get this granted next week, they're just going to go FCS independent now. They're not even going to have the Big Sky Conference. Come on now. You got to be a little, pull it back a little bit. I do think Sac State made some missteps along the way. We'll ask Kevin Marshall about it. He covers the FCS really well. FCS Nation Radio. He hosts an FCS football show on a lot of affiliates around the country. Kevin Marshall live from Montana next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Any direction. Gatherings from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Your home deserves a better hello. Swing into summer with a brand new entry or patio door. Get 20% off every door plus no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Enjoy an extra 5% off your entire project if purchased on initial consultation. That's up to 25% in savings on an upgrade your home will thank you for. But hurry, these hot summer deals won't last long. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Call me up. I'm a trial lawyer. I've tried criminal and civil cases for decades, and I can use all of that experience to help you. I also know this, that when insurance companies know that you're represented by a trial lawyer, they take your claim more seriously, and if it is to be settled, it's settled better with a trial lawyer. Wrench Law, 605-341-1111, wrenchlaw.com.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. Have you thought about buying a home or real estate in the Black Hills? Maybe you want to upgrade to your forever home? I have been helping people in the Black Hills find the right home for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. Let me do the work and you can open the door to your new home. Say hello to a good buy with me, David Brenneman. To get started, just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
Get away from it all in the great outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
Hey, welcome back in, everybody. Wednesday edition of the program is just getting going tonight. A lot to cover tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio across South Dakota. It's the Nate Brown Show. Follow us on X and watch us live right now at Nate Brown Show. Our question of the day, Sacramento State. Finish this sentence for me, if you would. Finish this sentence. Sacramento State going all in on joining the FBS without a conference invite is what? Bold, you got to get ahead of the others, or reckless, it'll set them back. 73% of my audience on X right now says reckless. 73% reckless. 27% it's bold. List a reaction from a coach online. John says they're blowing up the recruiting scene right now. Could see them beating the Jacks on August 30th. Their head coach, Brennan Marion, is the real deal. All right. Let's see here. Listener text. Sac State is like Brucey trying to play quarterback in the longest yard. I like that one. That's a good one. Listener text. I'm saying go Yotes and go Jacks in week 1. Wow, they united. See this little dust-up between John Schemmel at USD, the AD? We had him on the show yesterday. Had a little... Yeah, he said, hey, we're a JV program. We get to play against the varsity. Looking forward to this. And then the president of Sac State responded and then had to delete it. He said, we'd put up 50 on you. Listener text, seems like Sac State is jumping steps. Let's go to a guy who covers FCS as good as anybody. Has a FCS football show. It's called FCS Nation Radio on affiliates across the country. FCS Nation Radio's Kevin Marshall. Back on the Nate Brown Show. Find him on X, FCS Nation Radio 1. Kevin, good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Nate. I think that over 70% of your listeners are correct, sir.
Okay.
This is just skipping steps is exactly right. Like, look, I thought when I was a much younger man that getting older is what happened to everybody else, and there was going to be some sort of an exception made for me. Yet when I look in the mirror, I see this guy in his 40s with gray hair and stuff, and it looked like Sac thought maybe there was going to be some exceptions made for them, and there just aren't going to be. No invite, no FBS. It's been a rule for a minute, and it looks like it's going to stay that way.
Okay, so let me get your read on the president, Luke Wood. Now, I will say, I like presidents that are out there for sports. I like presidents that are bold and say, hey, we're going to do this. I'm behind this. We're going to crank this out. And he's doing that. He just sent a letter to the D1 Council and said, we have the fans, we have the city, we have the funding, we're going to have the facility, the stadium. He said it's not about an invite, it's about we're ready to do this. Here's what I think, though, Kevin. I think Sac State needed to ramp up at the FCS level. You tell me if I'm wrong. You cover the Big Sky Conference. It's not like these guys were just tearing it up.
Well, that's true. And a lot of the invites up from FCS to the extremely low barrel level of FBS that we've seen lately haven't been teams that have exactly been carving up the rest of the football championship subdivision. The one thing and all that Dr. Luke Wood mentioned that he actually has right now as we speak is a pretty good television market, and that does seem to make a difference into who gets chosen and who doesn't. He doesn't have the stadium yet. That's renderings. He doesn't have the NIL money that's been pledged. It's just been pledged. If they move to the FBS, they supposedly might have that money. The only thing he's really got is that TV market. And let's be quite honest, if they can't get anybody to come out to their games in relation to the other teams in the Big Sky Conference that do draw well, how much of a player are they really in their own television market, Nate?
Yeah. No, I get it. Sacramento State hasn't been selling out games. I know that. Kevin Marshall's on tonight, FCS Nation Radio, here on the Nate Brown Show, talking Sac State. So they think the D1 Council gets the final say. That meeting's next week. Do you think it was a good call to say, we're going to get out of the Big Sky Conference, even if we don't get this? We're going to go Big West? And I guess if we don't get FBS football, we'll just go independent FCS. What do you make of them leaving the Big Sky? I think they've been in for 30 years or something.
I think it's probably one of the greatest unnecessary self-inflicted wounds I've ever seen an athletic department make. There are other schools in FCS football that have made their intentions known that they would like to play FBS football if someone would invite them to do so. Right? Some of them right around your area where your stick gets, and people are listening to this. But they haven't absolutely burnt the bridge of where they are already, right? I mean, that's just, I don't understand the thinking behind that at all. Now, the Big Sky is a conference. The best thing that ever happened to Sacramento State athletics was membership in the Big Sky Conference, and I don't believe anybody will argue with me on that. But to just completely and unnecessarily inflict upon yourself a wound like that just because maybe a little temper tantrum-y, maybe, because the Big Sky wasn't going to kick them out if they weren't going to get to the FBS. They were just going to let that patch smooth over, and things were going to go back to what they were all along in these 30 years. I don't understand doing that to yourself out of spite for really nobody but yourself.
Hey, I was just started my show, Kevin, with this little back and forth. I thought it was funny. John Schemmel, USD Athletic Director, was on my show yesterday, and then he had this back and forth. And when Luke Wood said, you know, the reason we're going to FBS is the FCS is JV football. John Schemmel said, all of us JV programs are excited now to compete against this varsity program. They had a little back and forth, and then the president said we'd put up 50 points on you, John, and then he deleted that. What do you make of the JV football comment?
I mean, I'm chuckling at it. It kind of sounds like the kind of argument that would get made in my native region of the country, the South, when talking about FCS. Well, it's JV. You know, until one of us beats them, right? Which happens with some, happens with some regularity. And then what, you got beat by a JV team? It's Division I football. And he knew that, and he knew what he was doing. It's Division I football. Like the flag that's flying in front of NCAA headquarters right now is not the flag of the team that won the college football playoff up at the next level. It's a North Dakota State flag because they're Division I football national champions. NCAA sponsors that playoff. It's Division I football. He knew that. He knew what he was doing. And then when he got called out on it just to try to walk it back, just seemed a little bit disingenuous to me, Nate.
Okay, Kevin, I want to ask you, the head coach there, football-wise, I just had a listener say, this guy's the real deal. He was the offensive coordinator at UNLV. They had a rise here lately with Odom. Brennan Marion, head coach at Sac State. I'm hearing his recruiting has been really good. You give me your breakdown. August 30th, the new-look South Dakota State team with Dan Jackson. Is that a tough game, Sacramento State, for the Jacks?
Yes, and Brennan Marion is a good coach. He cut his teeth with Mike London and William and Mary. So this fella knows how to recruit guys that fit the niche. And right now they're trying to go out, and it seems like get just about anybody and everybody that was on a FBS roster recently. And they're trying to sign these guys. And they're bringing in some high school kids, too. but it seems to me that they are ramping up to try to be good immediately. And look, people who do what I do for a living, we used to ask this question a lot, Nate. Can this guy who's brought in 25 transfers, can he get some fellas who maybe have a little bit of a mercenary streak in them, maybe just a little, to buy into the team and not just I? And can this coach make this group into a team and they all be successful? And more often than not, the answer to that has been no. You have not seen teams that have brought in bunches of transfers advance into the FCS playoffs and do extremely well in them. It's a difficult thing to do. Well, now it seems like everybody is trying to do that, Nate. Everybody is losing guys and having to replace them and losing them and having to replace them. So I think a coach that can take a group that wasn't recruited together out of high school and can find something and to bring it all together and make them a cohesive team is going to be a fellow who's going to be in high demand in college football in this new age. But as far as what the Jackrabbits bring to the table, I mean, the way things were going for them, it couldn't have worked out, I don't think, any better than it did. Dan Jackson's a fine coach. He did extremely well with Idaho last year under Jason Eck. He's a good coach. He's a personable guy, knows the X's and the O's, can relate with the Jimmies and the Joes. And I think that Jackrabbits fans are going to be extremely pleased with the product he puts on the field.
I think that August 30th game is going to be even more watched now with this Sacramento State drama. Sac State's playing SDSU August 30th to kick off the FCS season. Kevin Marshall's on tonight. He's with FCS Nation Radio. So you've made it sound like, Kevin, they're not going to get this waiver next week from the D1 Council. The football committee said don't do it, but the D1 Council decides next week. You think it's dead?
It doesn't really matter what I think, Nate. It's just very rarely are people who get an opportunity to weigh in on something, do the people who have asked them to weigh in on it just completely overrule them. That's in life, that's in business, and that's in the NCAA. I'd be surprised. Would it be completely unprecedented? Yes. Liberty did move up, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
But that was under a completely different set of rules, a completely different sort of governing situation. I'd be surprised if that was approved.
I just had a listener say, what about Sacramento State to the defunct Pac-12? What, Pac-12, Kevin?
I mean, they got two conferences that are right there in their area, and both of them are ignoring Sacramento State. What does that tell you?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Kevin Marshall on tonight, FCS Nation Radio, getting us started with some Sacramento State FCS talk. The final decision will be made on that, looks like next week at the D1 Council. Kevin, good to have you back. I appreciate you hopping in.
It's always a pleasure, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. Kevin Marshall, he's with FCS Nation Radio, live from Montana, covers the FCS and the Big Sky across the country. His show is on affiliates nationwide. FCS Nation Radio, that's Kevin Marshall. Good stuff as we get going on a Wednesday. Let's see here. Let's update the poll. Sacramento State's going all in on joining the FBS without a conference invite. Finish the sentence. Them going all in on joining the FBS without a conference invite is what? Bold, you got to get ahead of things, or reckless, it'll set them back. 72% of you saying reckless, it'll set them back. 28% now saying it's bold, you got to get ahead of others. Listener text, Sac State moving to the FBS or trying to is borderline reckless just because they're spending crazy money for something that won't matter in 5 years. They're still going to be playing teams like South Dakota State and Wyoming in the next 5 years. And I think that listener's right. This is something we've been talking about. I know I'm just a simpleton from South Dakota Sports Talk Show, but I still predict next 5 years, maybe it's a little longer, but not much, there's going to be a whole different league. The FBS is going to be different than the Super Power League. You're not going to have Ohio State and Texas still playing with Utah State and Sacramento State. You're not going to have that. So that's what I mean by the SDSUs, the NDSUs, the USDs. For me now, I want to see them play in FBS. I do. FBS is the highest level right now. I would wait because things are changing, and they will. things will change. You can see this governance talk. You can see the power leagues taking all the money, and it's just not even close. You can't have these teams in the same league. So the revenue sharing thing is going to change things, and we're going to be in the same league in 5 years. Mark my words. Will I still be doing this show? We'll see. Mark it down. Coming right back, Scott Agnes, live from Indianapolis, Game 6. He's covering it tomorrow, the NBA Finals. Fieldhouse Files. Can the Pacers still survive? Scott Agnes coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Protect and enjoy your outdoor living space with Thompson's Clear Wood Sealer. It maintains wood's natural color and provides durable year-round protection from water and sun damage in just one coat. View our entire selection of Thompson's Water Seal products on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer and find all the great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Yeah, can I get the taco burger value combo? That's a value? I know it's a taco and a burger, but come on. Yeah, I can find a better value right across the street. No, not at the bait shop, at the gas station. I can get a South Dakota Lottery scratch game for as little as $1. You can actually win thousands of dollars. Almost enough to eat here.
Good fun. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly.
There's summer, and then there's Murphy's in the summer. Nothing beats it. The food, the drinks, the atmosphere. Whether you're soaking up sunshine on the patio or hanging inside with friends, Murphy's brings the good vibes all season long. Amazing food, cold beers, summer cocktails, live music on the patio, a crew that treats you right, and yes, even a late-night menu every Friday and Saturday night. When you're thinking summer in Rapid City, there's only one move, Murphy's. Visit murphyspubandgrill.com. Murphy's, a Rapid City icon.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills and beyond suffer a setback, Monument Health Orthopedics is here to provide comprehensive medical care. Our team of board-certified orthopedic surgeons and specialists is dedicated to helping patients regain the quality of life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
Summer's here and adventure is calling at Spearfish GMC Cadillac. New Sierra light duties with savings up to $6,250 or choose 0% financing for 36 months. Need more muscle? The Sierra HD has total savings of up to $2,750. At Spearfish GMC, we've got a great selection of Terrains, Acadias, and Yukons just waiting for your next road trip. Shop anytime at SpearfishMotors.com and make this summer one to remember. GMC, we are professional grade.
Hey, sports parents and ballers of all ages, Rapid City has a new sports facility that you have to check out. E3 Sports Complex on East North Street is the newest indoor sports facility featuring 4 full courts. E3 Sports is here to serve the community and wants all athletes of any age to come and experience expert training, coaching, and the opportunity to unlock your athletic potential. Memberships and court rentals are available now. Come to play at E3 Sports Complex. Learn more at e3sports.org.
Hi, this is Jeremy with Jerry's Cakes and Donuts, inviting you to kickstart your morning by dropping by and grabbing some fresh donuts. I want to thank you for voting us the best in the Black Hills. We're up early making your favorite donuts, so stop by and bring some to the office. Everybody loves Jerry's Cakes and Donuts, and we love you, so stop by, get a great selection to brighten up your day. Serving Rapid City for over 40 years, Jerry's Cakes and Donuts at 109 East Omaha, and remember to like Jerry's on Facebook for some great giveaways.
This is the Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to the Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Welcome back into your sports, your show, the Nate Brown Show across South Dakota. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live weekday afternoons. Thanks for being here. Hope your afternoon is, you're out the door, you're into your drive home, right? We'll talk to Keith Smith coming up, NBA analyst, front office show. Covers a lot of the transactions, a lot of the business side of the NBA. And how about the Lakers selling a majority stake, $10 billion valuation? How's your Wednesday going? What? You guys need a raise. You need a raise. You heard it here first. $10 billion valuation. Lakers majority stake getting sold. That's wild. We'll talk to Keith Smith coming up. NBA analyst, Spot Track contributor. NBA Finals tomorrow. Game 6. Can the Pacers hang on? Scott Agnes covering it. Fieldhouse Files. If you don't follow him at Scott Agnes and find the Fieldhouse Files. Covers the Pacers Game 6 tomorrow night. He's been back and forth. Fever, Pacers. Indiana, Scott, is the hotbed of basketball, literally.
It's absolutely the place to be, no question about that. Good to be on with you again. But, yeah, just a whirlwind of news. And how about the Lakers news that just broke in the last hour? That is significant, and even more so the bigger picture, right? You have Mark Cuban selling in Dallas. We've still never gotten a clear explanation. The Celtics and now the Lakers. Something's going on.
Okay, that's interesting. Hey, before I get to this Pacers thing, you know I have to go to this deal last night. So we got to go to the Fever and Caitlin Clark last night. Everybody's wound up about the officiating. The broadcast was because Caitlin got knocked down earlier in the game, a technical, but no ejection for Mabry. Then the altercation with Sophie Cunningham and the ejections. People said it was the officiating. Do you think the officiating in the WNBA is not good enough? Do they not have things under control, or is this a Caitlin Clark thing?
Yeah, no, the officials has always been an issue within the league. It's just now way more people are paying attention to it over the last couple of years because of Caitlin. But don't get me wrong, there are a handful of good officials in the league, but the overall level as a whole absolutely needs to increase because a game like last night, certainly it was player-inflicted, but to the Fever's point, it's if you don't get control of the game, things will happen just like it is if J.C. Sheldon's able to be as physical as she is early on. And then Mabry with the body check, and then, you know, the fact that she wasn't issued a flagrant 2 and ejected was as surprising. I was stunned to see J.C. Sheldon the one that got it. And so in turn, that led to future events, and then Sophie Cunningham kind of getting a little bit of payback and obviously a clear flagrant foul on the other one with J.C. Sheldon. So that's why Stephanie White was emphasizing, look, if you don't control the game, things like this will get out of hand. The one thing that I did note was Stephanie White pulled Aaliyah Boston with like 3 minutes to go to prevent the worst kind of issue possibly with those two getting involved.
Yeah, she was able to do that because the Fever went easily last night, so she did pull them out. That was interesting. The game was dicey. People say, well, this is a bad look, like former tennis star Chris Evert just said that. This is a bad look for the sport. You have new people watching the WNBA. I'm not one of those guys that says, oh, this is bad, this is terrible. It reminded me of Pistons Bulls. It did kind of last night. I don't think that's terrible, but do you think new people watching go, oh, this is not good, you gotta protect Caitlin here, this is bad?
I think it's bad because it goes outside of basketball. And it went outside of the basketball scope, right, where Caitlin's trying to attack. She was clearly fouled. That's it. Let's keep it moving. But no, she hits the floor. Then a couple of players get into it. That's the stuff you want to cut out because also what does that lead to? A 10-minute review. That's awful.
Right.
I was one, and to be clear, I was one on the very beginning that loved it. I'm a perfectionist. I want them to get every call correct. But the trouble is now we're hindered by that. And we got men and women on the floor twirling their finger like they're little kids wanting more candy. Like, it's a little bit outrageous from that standpoint because we all turn to the monitor and all those various things. So, no, they've got to clean this up. And I also don't get it is the continued attack of Caitlin as well. But to Chris Everett's point, you got all these new viewers, and it's not a great product because of a lot of the officiating here and how it's got it out of control because you're getting 2 million viewers with Caitlin in the game. It's not that they need to protect her, but they need to have the level of officials that can rise to the occasion and handle this platform.
Scott Agnes on tonight. Follow his work. Fieldhouse Files covers the Fever, Caitlin Clark, and the Pacers. Game 6 tomorrow. I'm going to get to that. One more on this. You just mentioned it, Scott. You said, I don't get why players continue to do this to Caitlin or attack Caitlin. Do you think a bunch of teams don't like Caitlin? Is that the real story?
Yeah, it's hard to say. What we do know for certain, right, is she gets all the attention. We also know she's one of the best players in the league, voted all WNBA last year. I think that there's probably a little animosity, presumably, within there. It's what we're seeing, right? And they also know if they can shut her down, you directly impact the Fever's chances in all this. So I don't think it's necessarily hatred or annoyance, maybe just a little jealousy, animosity that comes along with it when they see all the attention she gets, and there's probably some 5 and 7 year veterans that are saying, hey, what about me?
Will that ever change with the popularity of the league being helped by Caitlin Clark? That's what I don't understand. The players are benefiting from it, yet they're out to get her, it seems.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it just and it's not an overwhelming issue. It just comes up from time to time with select opponents or a select individuals and all this. Because I think one thing is you can appreciate what she brought to the league, which is eyeballs more than anything, which also means for each of these players, they're going to see their contracts rise this offseason in a collective bargaining agreement. Way more people are watching their games. Way more reporters are covering this game. So she's raising the tide for everyone. So it's not like they need to bow down and give away layups by any means. But it's the physicality and being rough and tough and elbows 40 feet from the basket and those sort of things that are like, what are you doing? This is such a negative look here. We get you want to compete. We saw it back in the 90s with Jordan, right, where they were being extra physical and trying to target him and such in different ways. It's when it goes outside of basketball, Nate, where I have a problem with it.
All right, that's fair. Scott Agnes on tonight. So here we go, Game 6. Let's go NBA Finals. You're covering it, the Pacers. Can they hang on? How important is Halliburton to this team? Where are we at with him?
Yeah, so he was on the court today. They just held a light walkthrough, so nothing significant, nothing you can really gather too much from except the fact that he was out there. No defense, not even me putting a hand up, right? And so you got to keep that in mind when he's going against an all-defensive team first member, and Lou Dort, who has been phenomenal in this series, keeping him well below his season averages, not just points but assists too. He's dealing with a calf strain. It's clearly no more than a grade 1, or else he would already be ruled out. They're going to list him as questionable. He's doing around-the-clock care right now with needling and red light therapy and stem work and anything that the medical staff can come up with that can maybe help heal him. The reality is, look, he's going to not be 100%. He may not even play. If that's the case, I think they can get by for one game. Winning 2 in the NBA Finals against a team that has not lost back-to-back games in the postseason is just a ridiculously tall task, I think, for them to handle. But if he misses time or his role is significantly reduced, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he tries to play in the first half and just doesn't have that burst, and Rick Carlisle needs to go to T.J. McConnell more or Andrew Nembhard more. And one thing is for sure is they're going to need a whole lot from Pascal Siakam in the forward spot.
What do you say about T.J. McConnell? I made a tweet the other night. I love watching this guy, man. He's just a competitor. He's smart, effort. I mean, he's just a guy. He's not the best player, but I don't know how he does it. What do you make of his game?
Yeah, he's a guy that's just endured a lot and to get here, just from a basketball standpoint. I mean, if he was a few inches taller, he'd be much better off and would have got drafted. And he's gone from undrafted to Philly not wanting to re-sign him. I still remember him, Nate, coming to Indy, and it was a 2-year deal. The second year wasn't even guaranteed. He was the third-string point guard and signed the deal, and then has since signed multiple extensions. He's a guy you can always count on for his role in terms of bringing the energy, bringing the juice. He's going to be a future coach. He's got those genes in him, so he's smart on the court. He always says the right thing, helps in the locker room. And then the other thing is I give him credit for having his perfecting some of his game, and that's really attacking, getting in the paint, something that's been an issue for this Pacers team, and then being able to knock down that mid-range 15-footer, but especially that 8-footer that I'm not even exactly sure how to describe it, but it's off balance. He's leaning back to get separation from the much taller defender, and he just hits it at such a high clip. Nobody makes more of those shots in the league than TJ, and so he's been able now to make it 10 years in the league and has just performed at such a high level because of it, playing about 20 minutes per game.
I've said, if you're a high school kid, watch T.J. McConnell. That's a basketball player. Fundamentally sound, was really a spark, and not enough, though, in OKC last game. So how do you feel about tomorrow night? Honestly, you said, well, Halliburton maybe not 100%. They can get by without him once. So you think tomorrow night, home advantage?
It's definitely an advantage being at home, no question. Both of these venues, both of these crowds and fan bases have been phenomenal in this series. I hope it really comes across in the TV because it has been incredibly loud there. And yeah, Tyrese is nowhere close to 100%. I doubt he's even 70%, but he's just got to weigh the risk factors, talk with the medical staff and coaching staff, and decide if it's even worth it for him to give it a shot from a medical standpoint. Obviously, for basketball and where they are and what they're fighting for, it's worth it. The challenge is you've just seen how good SGA is. Jalen Williams has gotten better with each game over the last three. I'm not sure the Pacers can do it, but as I was saying earlier, I think they could get one. I just don't see them getting two, Nate.
Last one, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. Do you think SGA pushes off? Is this a real thing? People say if he gets away with this, then everybody's going to do it.
I mean, there was a certain play you're probably referencing a couple games ago at the Fieldhouse. I think that was a shove, but I don't think that's an overwhelming thing. He's going to, look, all these players push things to the line, and as long as it's not called, they're going to toe that line as much as they can. He does a great job of attacking and drawing fouls, just like James Harden, just like LeBron and Luka. That's kind of a superstar thing, and so a couple of them are cheap each game, no question, but I don't think it's anything I'm overwhelmingly concerned about.
All right, I'm going to be at the Seattle Storm, Indiana Fever game in Seattle on Tuesday, Scott. So if you need me to be a correspondent for Fieldhouse Files, you let me know. I'm going to be at the game in Seattle. Fieldhouse Files, Scott Agnes covering the Fever and the Pacers, Game 6 tomorrow. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Very good, Nate. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Scott Agnes on tonight. Pacers, Fever, Fieldhouse Files, live from Indianapolis. Good stuff. Scott's really good. Scott Agnes on The Nate Brown Show. Yeah, I'm going to be right in the middle of that. Let's see. Are we going to have any more dust-ups there in Seattle? Are we going to have any dust-ups with Seattle and Indiana? What am I going to have to do? I'll be wearing the Caitlin Clark gear. I got a new shirt coming. My families all have jerseys. They all have Caitlin Clark jerseys. Is that bad? My wife, my two daughters, they're all wearing Caitlin Clark jerseys. What do you think I did? Did I do it? I did not. I got an Indiana Fever. I went general. I did not buy the Caitlin Clark jersey, okay? You don't have to kill me. I'm not that obsessed, okay? My family, I'll leave it to them. Let's come back with this. I'm serious about this. Last night, everybody's talking Caitlin Clark and stuff like this. Where's this sport really at? I really want to hear from you guys on if I'm the only one that's missing this, because this is not a good sign from something big that happened last night, and you wouldn't even know about it next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Your home deserves a better hello. Swing into summer with a brand new entry or patio door. Get 20% off every door plus no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Enjoy an extra 5% off your entire project if purchased on initial consultation. That's up to 25% in savings on an upgrade your home will thank you for. But hurry, these hot summer deals won't last long. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Season in downtown Rapid City, and there's no better place to soak up the sun and the good vibes than at Que Pasa Mexican Cantina. Tacos, tequila, burritos, and beer, and good vibes all day long. Que Pasa is your hometown hangout, and we have a smoking deal for you. Mention you heard Rob on the radio and score a $2.99 house margarita any day, anytime. Limit one per customer per day, so don't miss out. Offer available for a limited time. Swing by, sip something special, and celebrate the season at Que Pasa Mexican Cantina.
The place that sells the best new cars and trucks is the place you'll find the best used cars and trucks. That place is Denny Menho Toyota. Shop better quality import and domestic models. Buy with no down and make no payments for 90 days. Plus, buy Toyota certified pre-owned with financing as low as 5.49% APR for up to 60 months. See us at Denny Menho Toyota or DennyMenhoToyota.com. 1910 per 1,000 finance regardless of down. Offers with qualified credit expires 6/30/25.
We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is live Wednesday program on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Glad you're here, and thanks for making the show possible. We appreciate you. Let's take a look at what's on tap tonight. Still coming up in the second hour. Brian Henson is on the way. IndyStar.com. He covered Caitlin Clark and the Fever in that showdown last night. Brian Henson just sent me a text. He said it was pretty interesting last night. Brian Henson coming up. IndyStar.com covered the Fever Sun brawl. Keith Smith's on the way. NBA analyst for Spot Track. The Lakers are selling majority stake, $10 billion valuation. What's going on? That's wild. Keith Smith's on the way. That's what's on tap tonight. What's on tap at the Campfire Bar? That's the new sports bar. They got live sports. They got 20 local brews on tap right now. Where do you find the Campfire Bar? It's inside the new Mr. Liquor 2. It's inside Mr. Liquor 2. South Dakota's best and biggest liquor store. Off Catron Boulevard is where you'll find it. Hit the Campfire Bar tomorrow night for the NBA Finals. 20 South Dakota brews on tap. That's what's on tap. The Campfire Bar inside Mr. Liquor 2 off Catron Boulevard. Okay, you guys got to tell me this. You got to tell me this. I'm not going to be overreacting. I'm not going to be a hot take man. I'm not going to be yelling at the clouds. I want to know today, how much coverage, how much social media, if you're on social media, how much did you see this? So how much coverage did you hear on your favorite radio shows, on your social media accounts? How much coverage and promotion and hype did you see today about the Stanley Cup championship? Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup last night. See how silent that's how it was. Crickets since last night into today. And I'm not the hockey expert, but I'm sitting here noticing this. Nobody's covering it. Nobody's discussing it. So I wanted to do a little test today. Florida Panthers, they've won back-to-back Stanley Cups now. Back-to-back Stanley Cups. You would think that's, kind of newsworthy. And I looked at it, ESPN.com, #1 sports site, right? I can admit that as a Fox Sports guy. Their radio product, not so good. You might listen to them, but not so good. ESPN.com's #1. The story of the Florida Panthers winning the Stanley Cup back-to-back was number 6, the 6th story on the website, and that was this morning. That was right after they won it. So that said it'll be off the website by later today. It was off at lunchtime. The Stanley Cup finals, the Florida Panthers winning it. It's not like it was just, they won one. They won back-to-back. You kind of get some storylines, some headlines there, right? You would think so. And so my thought on this is when, people always bag on baseball, say, baseball doesn't have enough promotion, they don't have enough marketing, they're leaps and bounds ahead of the NHL. MLB with Shohei Ohtani and some of these guys are at least leaps and bounds ahead of the NHL. There's never a time that goes by where you go on a major sports championship where it's not the picture and the lead story for a while, at least on ESPN. At least. World Series, going to be up there. NBA Finals, if the OKC, if they win tomorrow night, it's going to be up there. It'll be up there all day. And then there's another story and another one. The WNBA Caitlin Clark scenario last night, the brawl and Caitlin getting knocked down and all of that stuff, that was ahead of the NHL. And so what's happening is people can say, well, I blame the media that you guys don't cover it. That's why people don't know about it. You don't cover it. Well, I'm melding these two together. I believe the reason that ESPN.com doesn't have the Stanley Cup Championship as their lead story is they must not get enough clicks. That's all I can figure out on that. They must not get enough clicks. They're the one. I mean, they got all these people on the backside of the data and looking at the analytics and the clicks and what drives traffic and all of that stuff. So they buried it, and then they took it off by lunchtime today. You couldn't find it on ESPN. There's some companies that covered it pretty well. I will say The Athletic. So The Athletic got taken over. New York Times, Athletic, they comboed, and The Athletic had it up there. So it was Edmonton and Florida, and it was on TNT. I haven't seen the ratings yet. I know the Stanley Cup finals weren't great. Canada had good ones. U.S. dropped. So I understand it's not Philly and it's not huge markets, so that might play in too. But I do think it's a little bit of a sport thing. I think it's an NHL thing. Where's the passion? Where's the traffic? I think it's become so regional. Hockey's regional anyway. I think it's become so regional. There's no national aspect to the greatest trophy in sports, the Lord Stanley's Cup, and they win it last night, and you couldn't find it anywhere. I mean, if I can remember, this is the worst I've seen of it in a 24-hour stretch. From Stanley Cup championship to poof, gone. That's a bad look for the NHL as far as growing fans, interest, the whole thing. I really believe that. Into the second hour, let's go to a South Dakota high school story that, well, I guess it was kind of solidified today. We knew this was coming. Matt Kearney was reporting on this here from the Nate Brown Show for a while, but high school baseball discussion was had today at the board meeting. Activities Association had a board meeting. The high school baseball sanctioning discussion was had, but they're not going to move forward on it. And I've come to find out there's one big thing that's holding this back. We'll discuss next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
At Ace, your backyard is right in our backyard. So when you need to feed your grass, remove the weeds, or wrangle those leaves, go to the best place that delivers on top brands like Ego, Toro, and Steel. No warehouse store can match the convenience of your locally owned neighborhood Ace. So stop on by. You can also order online for curbside pickup or get what you need delivered. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their lawn care. At participating stores.
Hey, Sioux Falls sports fans, there's a great new sports bar in Sioux Falls, Boston's Restaurant and Sports Bar on West Russell Street in the Ramada Water Park Hotel. If you want to watch games, UFC, they've got it, wall-to-wall TVs, and the best part, great food. Gourmet pizza at Boston's, tons of wing options, great burgers, and a lot more. Bring the family, bring the team, bring your crew to the new Boston's Restaurant and Sports Bar in Sioux Falls on West Russell Street. Plus, you can order online for lunch or dinner. Just go to bostons.com.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger? Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Ever dreamed of building something amazing? Builders First Source in Rapid City, Spearfish, and Hot Springs is your go-to building materials partner. Whether you're building new or giving new life to an old space, we provide step-by-step guidance from drafting and cabinetry design to lifelike visualization and top-quality materials. It's your vision, and we're here to make it real. Visit BLDR.com. Builders First Source, your Black Hills partner in building every step of the way.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
Have you ever really thought about how important your front door, and every entry door into your home for that matter, really is? That door provides security for your family and so much more. The wait is over. Ensemble Doors by Renewal by Andersen have arrived. These awesome secure doors have timeless style, elegant features. They can be customized countless ways with the legendary quality of Renewal by Andersen. Right now, Renewal by Andersen is offering an incredible value on Ensemble entry doors. You get 20% off every Ensemble entry door. No money down, no interest, no payments for 12 months. No payments for a year. Ensemble entry doors by Renewal by Andersen are just so much better. They're built with the best quality materials, including Renewal by Andersen's exclusive Fibrex, which has been tested to deliver enhanced security, certified performance, and lasting beauty. Please visit RBARapidCity.com now. That's RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate. Ensemble entry doors. The wait is over.
One more time. This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
One more time. All right, welcome back in. Welcome into the second hour. This hour driven by Summit Automotive Group. Start at summitautogrp.com. When it comes to pre-owned in South Dakota, experience car buying built around you, from the right price to the right treatment, the right financing. Start at summitautogrp.com. This hour of the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Radio, featuring Brian Henson coming up. He covered Caitlin Clark in this Fever game, getting everybody's attention last night. What did he think of the situation down there? We'll get into it. Brian Henson coming up. IndyStar.com sports writer. Keith Smith's also on the way. Big headline out of the NBA this afternoon. The Lakers are selling the majority stake. We're talking $10 billion valuation. The guy buying it's been a 20% owner. Now he's going to buy the whole thing. Jeannie Buss is still going to be a governor. I mean, I don't know about this whole deal, but the Lakers getting sold, $10 billion valuation. That's a big headline. We'll get to it with Keith Smith, NBA analyst for Spot Track. He's on tap. Also talk a little Game 6, NBA Finals tomorrow night. Indiana trying to stay alive. So here's the South Dakota sports story I'm going to run by you and kind of just put a final touch on this. So if you listen to the show, you've heard my opinion is, in the long run, I would like to sanction high school baseball. I'm not an AD. I'm not the guy that has to come up with the funding. I'm not the guy that has to come up with the scheduling, the budget, the process, all of the bureaucracy stuff that you have to work through and the concerns about budgets and travel. I'm not that guy, so it's easy. I can admit that there is hurdles to it. So I understand that. I would like to sanction it under the rules of the Activities Association, real state championship under the Activities Association, validity. I think recruiting is going to be better from the high school baseball side. I believe in playing for your school. I think school pride is still a thing. You may not. Maybe you think that's gone by the wayside. So I'm a believer in all that. So I think sanctioning just makes it the real high school sport. It's good right now. High school baseball's good. There's kids that are playing it, really enjoying it. Bringing it within the school makes it even better. Bringing it within the school across the state makes it even better. But at the Activities Association board meeting today, they put a final touch on this, at least for now. They went through the survey and they said there's too many schools, too many ADs in South Dakota that don't want to sanction high school baseball. So Dan Swartos, the executive director who we've had on the show a lot in Pierce, said he would like to see it sanctioned, but again, he's not the one making the call. So he said we're going to move forward. We did this survey, and there's too big a percentage of ADs that still don't want to sanction high school baseball. And I've come to find out there's one major factor on this. I really think there's one major factor for both sides making the argument to sanction or not to sanction. That usually doesn't work that way. The one major reason for both sides to argue is the cost of the sport. And I've had people on this show that give me both sides of the argument. There will be the guy that comes on and says, it's going to be tough for the schools. This just isn't going to be affordable. There's no budget. The schools have a tight budget as it is. This is just tough. Then another guy will come on and say, well, this is too expensive for the families. When you have a club sport, you've got to fundraise. You've got to pay the fee, the whole thing. This is on all the parents and all the families. They're already paying for everything as it is. So this should go into the school, and then we don't have this extra expense. So come to find out, that's the one big hurdle. It's a big one. But which side's going to win out on this? Because, by the way, I just heard from Sioux Falls. This is a Sioux Falls program. Costs $650 to play. $650. I've heard it anywhere from I've heard of Rapid City programs like $450. I've heard of Sioux Falls, and these guys are pretty good when they're giving this information. So I'm trusting folks within the program. $450 for one, $650 for another. You got a couple of kids on a team. That's not unheard of. You got a couple of kids on a team. That's $1,300 for the spring baseball season. So that's how it is as of now because it's a club sport. And I see an AD who just commented on the show. An AD said, I can't sanction this right now. I don't have the funding. Where can we get guaranteed funding for this? And so I don't have that. Yeah, imagine that. I don't have an answer. It's not the first time in life. I don't have the answer. The Activities Association's not going to funnel money into it. The schools are going to be really cautious. They're already spending an arm and a leg. You got some West River schools that spend an arm and a leg on sports travel, hotels, the whole thing. An arm and a leg on some of these trips across the state over and over and over again. So adding a new sport into this, well, this is just going to be a cost. But then we do have to reconcile. The parents are paying it, and I think that lets people off the hook to figure out a real solution within the schools. It lets people off the hook. So you're going to have to do some fundraising on this. Maybe the booster club's going to have to really ramp things up, and it's not just going to be a 3-month fundraiser at the Pizza Ranch. I mean, it's going to have to be a major deal, like effort by schools to say, we're going to try and raise this money, and the baseball folks are going to have to step in on that too. It's the only way I can think of it now because the school budgets are tight. They don't want to add a sport, a lot of them. And then a lot of the parents are getting left on the hook paying $650. A couple of kids playing $1,300. And then you have, guess what? Some parents will decide, Do I really want my freshman? He's okay. Things are tight. Let's just do something else. That can happen. I mean, people say, oh, you can afford the $650. You can afford the $450. A lot of us can't. There's some that can't. High school sports are educational-based for everybody. That's what I like about it. Whether you want to say, well, sometimes bad kids get to play a sport for the first time. They look goofy out there playing baseball and volleyball. That's what high school sports is about. Playing for your school, having an experience, and it doesn't cost you a thing for the public school kids. We've got to find an answer some way. It's going to keep being looked at. They keep looking at it. Somebody's going to have to step in from Sioux Falls or West River. Somebody's going to have to step in and say, this is what we should do. This is how we can do it to sanction high school baseball, because it's not going to cost the families as much. Can we get the schools to get this into their budget and help them out from a fundraising side? So high school baseball, moving forward as a club sport, not going to get sanctioned yet. Cost is the number one factor on both sides. Huge factor. Brian Hinchin's on next. IndyStar.com sports writer, covered the Caitlin Clark game last night. On the way.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
Your home deserves a better hello. Swing into summer with a brand new entry or patio door. Get 20% off every door plus no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Enjoy an extra 5% off your entire project if purchased on initial consultation. That's up to 25% in savings on an upgrade your home will thank you for. But hurry, these hot summer deals won't last long. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people, from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
The area's best selection of pre-owned Honda and Honda certified pre-owned trucks and SUVs. Save big with 0.99% APR on select models. 0.99 plus great offers on late model SUVs, imports, and domestics. Nearly 70 to choose from. Our new SUV is here, and the time to buy is now at Danny Meno, Rushmore Honda, or RushmoreHonda.com. Length of finance contract is limited with qualified credit. Expires 6/30/25.
Eating in Deadwood has so many options thanks to Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort. Wake up with the trusted taste of Starbucks or sit down to a full breakfast at Best Brews. Looking for lunch? Build a wonderfully fresh sandwich from Jersey Mike's. Grab some quick and cheesy goodness from Pizza Hut or pull up a chair in Patty O'Neill's Irish Pub. Need something a little more intimate for dinner? Well, Snitches is all the buzz with an evolving menu of chef-designed culinary creations. There's something for everyone to eat at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort, located on historic Main Street in Deadwood.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding door and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City. City.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back into the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show on Fox Sports Radio. Follow us on X at Nate Brown Show. Watch us live. Interact with our question of the day at Nate Brown Show. Follow the show. You've got all the guests, the question of the day, the good stuff there, and the live stream at Nate Brown Show on X. A reminder, if you miss any parts of the program, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. Every guest, every show is there. Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Search The Nate Brown Show, and you've got us on your favorite podcast platform. We are live with Brian Henson. Covered the Indiana Fever game last night. The hockey a hockey game broke out. A dust-up. Brian Henson covering the Fever this year for the Indy Star. You'll see him out there popping in. IndyStar.com sports writer. Brian, what's going on, man? How are you?
Buddy, I'm good. High school sports just wrapped up here for me, so I'm back on the Fever, and I am tired.
Okay. You were at this thing last night.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything like that? I mean, we see that sometimes, but in the WNBA, a little bit of a brawl there at the end with Sophie Cunningham and J.C. Sheldon. I haven't seen much like that go that far.
Oh, sure. We saw it in the season opener when Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark got into it. And you know what? The funny thing is, buddy, we're sitting there up in the press area trying to figure out what to do, and the idea was flown out there like, hey, J.C. Sheldon and Caitlin Clark don't seem like they don't like each other. How about Brian does a sidebar on that? And I was kind of like, well, that's dumb. Nothing's really happened. What am I going to do? Walk in there and say, hey, J.C., you and Caitlin don't seem to get along. What do you think?
Yeah.
I didn't say that to my boss because I didn't want to be a smartass. So instead I went up, I said, you know, maybe there's something there. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll get into a shoving match, something like we saw in the Chicago game. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, not even 5 minutes later, J.C. Sheldon pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. She gets bumped. Caitlin Clark gets shoved to the ground, and we're off to the races. With regards to the incident itself, I'm assuming you're going to ask about it, but I think the officials bear a lot of the blame there because that game was super physical. And both teams talked about just how atrociously officiated it was, and it was atrociously officiated. And that's a problem across all women's sports, I think, but it's especially noticeable in the WNBA. They let that game get out of control. You know, they let everybody get away with everything. There were no steps taken to stop her, to slow things down, or to calm the nerves, so the tensions just keep bubbling and bubbling and bubbling until the end when you have Sophie Cunningham playing the role of the enforcer, a role that she is very well equipped to play. Taking out J.C. Sheldon, the scrum, you know, Sheldon understandably takes a step to it, another Sun player takes a step to it. Like you mentioned, everybody kind of converges and the mob gets pushed into the front row of the courtside seating, and that was something else. But it was honestly it was kind of fun to cover.
Do you think it's a bad look for the sport? Tennis star Chris Evert, longtime tennis star, said that's a bad look for the sport. I'm curious about your opinion on that.
Why? Why is it bad? Like, would we be saying it's bad? Do we say it's bad when a baseball player gets hit and charges the mound? Do we say that it's bad for the sport when there's fights in hockey? Like, I think that's a little prisoner of the moment, if I'm being honest. And it's like, and we've talked about this before, but I think to some level it's almost like women's sports are held to this different standard, and I'm not sure where that standard quite is. But the way that people talk about it is a little different. I don't think that it's bad for the sport. What's bad for the sport is how it's officiated. What's bad for the sport is what allowed it to get to that point. What's bad for the sport are some of these are the ways that players like Caitlin Clark, like, you know, whoever, you know, Diana Taurasi, she's like players like that, how they're allowed to just get the snot beaten out of them and nothing be called, and how the league doesn't protect their stars. They don't really protect anybody. That's bad for the sport. What happened last night is just, I mean, that's competition, right? You have people who are invested in what they're doing. That's how I look at it, at least. I don't think that it's good or bad. I think it's just one of the things it is. Now, what is bad is the way that this discourse will go, because Caitlin Clark's fans, especially from the Iowa side, get pretty toxic, and it's a lot of people who are just Caitlin Clark fans and don't like the sport, don't really know what they're talking about, so you get a lot of that toxicity. That's bad for the sport. But the incident itself, you know, Sophie Cunningham standing up for her teammate, the Sun players standing up for their teammates, I I don't think that it's bad for the sport. I think that's just sport. You know what I mean? That's competition. That's life.
Brian Henson on tonight covered the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun game last night. Turned into a melee a little bit. Some fines going out. Brian Henson, IndyStar.com. He wrote a piece on this and the reaction from the Sun coach. The Sun coach said it was a stupid play, a stupid foul that Sophie Cunningham did. But again, that leads into there was stupid stuff that happened earlier, right? But he didn't say much.
Yeah, I asked him about that. So I asked him about, I can't remember the name. I'm running on like no sleep, but the pushing incident that occurred in the third quarter. I asked about that play, and then somebody later on followed up and asked if he thought that player should be ejected for pushing Caitlin Clark to the ground, and he answered no. And he said no because it was just her kind of standing up for herself. Or no, not standing up for herself. His was like, she didn't do anything wrong. It just kind of happened, I think. And he said it kind of tongue-in-cheek. But the other players, when I asked the Sun players about it, they said, like, look, at some point you kind of have to stand up for your teammates. You have to stand up for yourselves. And that's kind of what happened there. But, yeah, no, the Sun coach's comments were very interesting. He's a very established coach. I learned about him last night as I was writing that story. He's like head coach of the French national team and has been for a really long time. So the guy knows what he's doing, knows what he's saying. But no, the comments that he had last night kind of caught me off guard. And then on the Fever side, as I was talking to them, Chloe Peterson, our head Fever beat reporter, was with them. And, man, they were going to town. I mean, Steph White was just, she did not hold anything back.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
on the way things went.
I saw Caitlin didn't really want to talk about, she kind of got frustrated, the media questions about the pushing and the shoving and the face scratch and the whole thing. She said, I want to talk about basketball. She seemed a little frustrated.
Yeah, understandably, I guess, because I'm assuming that she was told she has to keep her mouth shut before she stepped out there and has to be really careful with what she says, and I'm sure she knows that herself. Both because she's lightning rod and because she doesn't want to get fined, doesn't want to get her team in trouble. But I did see that clip, and I saw the footage of her smirking and her expressions as Steph White is talking about the officiating and how it needs to be better, more consistent. The way that she's just kind of contorting her face and trying not to laugh in agreement was pretty phenomenal.
Okay, here's where I'm going to agree with you a little bit, Brian Henson. Ready?
Sure.
Former tennis star Chris Evert said, this is a bad look for the sport. What's happened to sportsmanship? That was her quote. And you said, well, that's not bad for the sport. Here's what I'm saying. If players don't like Caitlin Clark, which it seems like there's some players that don't, I think that's okay. I think that's good for sports. So I don't need Caitlin Clark to be protected and coddled and this and that. And I don't think she wants to be. I don't need her to get scratched in the face and blindsided, knocked down. You got to get ejected for that type of stuff. But I'm okay if players don't like Caitlin Clark. Isn't that good?
Yeah, and that's fun. And also, I think J.C. Sheldon, it's probably fair to say, like, there's a lot of history there between those two because, the Ohio State-Iowa thing, I think that there's some legitimate, maybe bad blood there. But I think by and large, too, like everybody hates Caitlin Clark. Everybody's trying to tear down the sports star. I think that stuff gets overblown a little bit personally, but that might also just because I'm a jaded jerk. I don't know. But I think that some of it gets overblown. But yes, to your point, I think that it's good. Like the rivalries, like the tension, like I think it's great. It's fun. And I think it's fun for her to be kind of the villain in some cases and the hero. You know what I mean? Kind of playing both sides a little bit. I think it's great. I think to your point, I think it's good. It's a fun storyline. It's something different. It gets people talking. And obviously, like I said before, the discourse kind of spirals sometimes. It gets off track and goes into some dark places. But I think in theory and for the most part in practice at least, staying away from a lot of the darker corners of social media that we all are aware of, I think that it's a good thing for the sport, and I think it's going to help grow it.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. Brian Henson covering the Fever last night of the Caitlin Clark game that got everybody's attention. Brian Henson's with the Indy Star. IndyStar.com. Man, get some rest. Thanks for popping on.
Good stuff, bud. I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate your time. Brian Henson covering the Fever. He'll be doing that this summer. IndyStar.com, sports writer, formerly of the Argus Leader there. Good stuff, Brian Henson. So that's his perspective, and it's mine a little bit. Here's what I mean. You've heard people talk about Caitlin Clark getting forearm shivered, getting knocked around. She got poked in the eye last night hard. That was a bad play by J.C. Sheldon. I watched this. So I mean, I'm as big a Caitlin Clark fan as anybody. Do you know that? Matt Kearney does, but he hears about it each day. I'm as big a fan as anybody. I'm going to Seattle next week to watch the game live. I haven't looked how much my tickets cost, but nonetheless. So, but here's what I mean by this. I didn't need the Pistons to like Michael Jordan. As a matter of fact, I didn't want the Pistons to like Michael Jordan. Isn't that what we always complain about in sports today? All the guys exchanging jerseys at the end of the game. Hey, man, what's up? Yeah, you're my boy. Yeah. We hate that. We want people to get after it. We don't want them to exchange jerseys at the end of the game. So everybody complains about that, yet here we are. There's a section of folks that say, this is bad. Caitlin Clark and the rivalries and all the controversy, this is bad. I don't want to take it into the negative aspects where there's this political debate. I think that's the bad corner. That's the corner where you have websites that monetize accounts. Yeah, and so you could say whatever just to get the most reaction. I don't like that. That's the ugly stuff. The political discourse of Caitlin Clark against this player, and it's just right against left. Give me a break. I want sports rivalries. I want sports intensity. I like that all the players don't love Caitlin Clark. They need to have respect for Caitlin Clark, and I think it's probably going to come. I hope so, because if you look at any of the players that played against Michael Jordan, from Barkley to Shaq to whoever, you know what they say about Michael Jordan now. He's the best of all time. Those are the guys that did battle against him. Isaiah Thomas hated Michael Jordan, still doesn't like him. I think there's some respect there. I didn't need the Pistons to like the Bulls. I didn't want the Lakers to like the Celtics. I don't want people to have to, I love Caitlin. Yeah, we need to treat her softly, and the league needs to give her foul calls and give her stuff like this. Keep it under control. None of the forearm shivers, none of the dirty, dirty stuff. But I think the Indiana Fever players took that back last night. They said, we're gonna get a little out of control. Let's have some fun. So I think they took that back last night. We don't need to turn into this, everybody needs to be for Caitlin. I'm for Caitlin. I like the rivalry. I love her edginess. She's a star that shoots like no other, plays like no other. There's a lot of players that are jealous. A lot of players are jealous. That's okay. That's okay. Because I'm in the Caitlin Clark Club, and we're coming for you. I love it. I don't want players to exchange jerseys. I don't want to see Caitlin exchange jerseys after the game. I want to see games. Coming right back, Keith Smith's on the way, NBA analyst for Front Office Show and Spot Track. Big sale in the NBA. Lakers sold. That's something next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Your home deserves a better hello. Swing into summer with a brand new entry or patio door. Get 20% off every door plus no money down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. Enjoy an extra 5% off your entire project if purchased on initial consultation. That's up to 25% in savings on an upgrade your home will thank you for. But hurry, these hot summer deals won't last long. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
The Auto Pass apply now button. What a great option for those who have repairs that just can't wait. Absolutely. It's been a fantastic opportunity for many people. Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail, everybody. The place to trust. Your complete AAA and ASE certified automotive repair specialist. See any
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear, Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their number one priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at barronswilson.com.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio across the state. It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Glad you're a part of the program. Hope you've had a solid day. I appreciate you checking in. A lot of great guests tonight. Let's go to Keith Smith on the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. NBA analyst, his show on YouTube, Front Office Show. Contributor for Spot Track. Find him on X at Keith Smith NBA. Some NBA headlines I wasn't expecting. We'll start with this Lakers news. Keith, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. So, what's your reaction here to the Lakers being sold? It's going to go to this guy who had 20%, so he's a part of this, but $10 billion valuation. Jeannie Buss going to hang on to being governor, and the Buss family going to stay in at 15%, but Lakers changing hands with majority stake today. What's your reaction?
Yeah, this was very surprising. Lakers have been owned by the Buss family for almost my entire life. It was just a little guy when they bought him, and they have seemed like they were probably never going to let the team go from family control. But here we are, and I think what we're seeing in the NBA, when you saw the Celtics sell, you saw Mark Cuban sell, these franchise prices are getting so high that it just is starting to become very, very hard for some of these legacy ownership groups to turn down this kind of money. I mean, the Lakers, when the Buss family bought them, it was like $65 million. That they paid for the franchise. Now, that was, granted, nearly 50 years ago, but it still is, remarkable that here we are, now in, $10 billion valuation. As you said, that's not exactly what's being paid here because Mark Walter already owns a chunk of the team, and he's not buying the remaining 80% that he doesn't own, but he's going to have controlling interest, and we'll see. I kind of have my doubts how long Jeannie Buss stays in the governor role because that seems to be a thing that people are saying and then doesn't really play out that way.
Keith, can you give me your take on if there's something going on? I had an NBA writer on in the first hour. He's covering the finals tomorrow night in Indianapolis. He said Mark Cuban sells, Celtics sell, Lakers sell. There's something going on. What do you think?
I think it's billions upon billions of dollars. I think it's that simple. people always want to look for some deeper meaning and some kind of conspiracy theory and all kinds of other things. But I think it's just these folks who own these teams are generally they're business people. The Lakers situation is a little bit different. The Buss family, that was their legacy, was owning the Lakers. But Mark Cuban's a business guy, and I think he looked at it and said, "Hey, I have a chance to really cash in here and go, make life-changing money for my family for the remainder of the time we're around, and why not get that?" So I don't think there's anything kind of nefarious happening or anything here. I also think that there are some of these ownership groups that know the NBA is going to expand. Like, that is coming, probably within the next 4 or 5 years. And then I wonder if some of them just, they don't want to be a part of splitting the pie up, 2 more ways or 4 more ways or however many teams the league eventually goes to. So they're going to get out while the getting's good.
Okay, interesting. So if you want to sell, you can make a bunch of money. Then you're not convinced Jeannie Buss hangs on as long. If I sell something, don't you want to kind of sell and you're like, man, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm out. Why do you think she wants to stick around?
Yeah, my guess is for her it's to still be involved, and this is what she's done. Her whole life has been a part of the Lakers, so my guess is, it's there, it's still be involved. And I guess from Mark Walters' perspective is, he already owns the Dodgers. He owns an F1 team that's starting next year. He owns Chelsea, or a big chunk of the Chelsea football team over in England. He's got all these other sports interests, including the entire PWHL, Women's Hockey League. He owns a squash league. I think he owns a chunk of the LA Sparks as well. So I think we're in a spot where he might be looking at it and say, all right, hey, if you want to go sit in a bunch of meetings, you already know what you're doing. You go do it, and I don't have to. So let's not go too crazy here. So I think we're in a spot where we see him say that. But I do think, much like we saw with the Mavericks point, which ended up being more about the stake that was involved, because you have to own at least 15% to be a governor. I think that's where that didn't really work out, and we saw eventually a transition. So I think that'll come. It'll just come down the line.
Keith Smith on tonight, NBA analyst, Front Office Show. Check it out on YouTube's contributor for Spot Track as well. Follow him if you're not on X at Keith Smith NBA. So what's the number one brand in the NBA? Is it the Lakers? Is this the number one organization?
In terms of value and brand, yeah, it's the Lakers. They're probably the most well-known team worldwide. It's probably them or the Celtics. The issue is, why the Celtics didn't go for quite as much is they are in Boston. It's just not an attractive place to be as Los Angeles. That's a big part of it. It is not Hollywood. It's not in a nice warm weather place. So yeah, when you're the Lakers, you're the biggest brand out there. It's funny. I had a good friend of mine reach out to me and say, "This is what the Lakers sell for. What would Jerry Jones get for the Cowboys or Hal Steinbrenner for the Yankees if they sold? Like where are we going with this? Because these are numbers that I don't think anybody could have envisioned at any point. That we're now up in the tens of billions."
Yeah, Broncos. I think what was it, $6.5 billion, somewhere in there. Now look at that, the Lakers, huge number. Okay, Keith, let's go to the NBA Finals. Tomorrow night, Game 6. Do you think the Pacers are in trouble now?
I think they're in trouble to an extent. I think, the Thunder, when you get close, that team that can clinch, even though they're going on the road, and Indiana's going to, bring it. It's going to be a tough environment in that building. I think, there's the Thunder, they're just right there, right? And they know, hey, even going back home for a Game 7, anything can happen. Game 7s get a little bit weird. So I think they're going to want to get it closed out. We see what it looks like when they turn up the defense, when they really get after it. I think also if Tyrese Halliburton can't be Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers are going to have a lot of trouble. We saw in that game, they made the big comeback, but then you saw the Thunder said, all right, enough of this. They locked in for the last 5-6 minutes or so on defense and really shut it all down, and they kind of turned and ran away with it a little bit. So I think it's, Indiana can win. I think they've got a good chance to win. It's just going to be difficult for them to pull off.
Okay, you watch SGA. People get annoyed by his style, drawing fouls, and now it's flipped to he pushes off, he uses the elbow. A lot of the basketball analysts are saying, if this is how people are going to let him play, everybody's going to play like this. Does he play a certain way? Is it something that he gets away with?
Yeah, he plays the way almost every one of the great scorers has ever played. I mean, I don't know how these people are seeing this and like, we've never seen anything like this when we all lived very recently through James Harden and the Houston Rockets. And it was the same exact conversation of he pushes off, all he does is draw fouls. Before James Harden, that was a big complaint with Kobe Bryant. Before Kobe Bryant, it was Allen Iverson. Before Allen Iverson, it was Michael Jordan. It's whoever is, one of the best scorers in the league that isn't a big man, because that is the one where the game is very, very different. But when it's a guard or a wing, yeah, they're going to get away with some stuff. And I think, yeah, there was the egregious push-off at the end of Game 4 on Aaron Nesmith where he got to the jumper there, but I don't think he's doing anything different than a lot of the other guys are doing. I just think, we're in a spot where it's just, it's magnified because this is what everybody's watching now on the highest level in the finals. It doesn't really bother me the way he plays because I think there's also been plenty of games where the Pacers have thrown some really, really good defense at him too.
Keith Smith on tonight, Game 6 of the NBA Finals, Indianapolis tomorrow. Last one, trades going to start happening, it looks like. Kevin Durant, he's out there. We're in Wolves territory up here. Would you bring Durant in with the Wolves? Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle. Is Durant a missing piece?
I would, but only if he's committed to doing the extension. He seems to, from all the reporting that's out there, which matches some of the things I've heard, he's not real enthused about the idea of going to Minnesota. Whether that's he just doesn't, he doesn't like the cold weather. I don't know what the situation is, but he's really focused on the Spurs, Rockets, and Heat, probably in that order, from what I've been told. So that's the challenge. If you acquire him, we've all seen what a moody Kevin Durant can do, and if that's the way it goes, that could really sink the Wolves before things even really got started with him, because he's not going to be happy. You might have one unhappy year with him and then watch him walk away for nothing a year later. That's something you have to really guard against if you're Minnesota.
Keith Smith on tonight. Follow him on X. Here it is, Keith Smith NBA. Find his work at Spot Track, and the show is Front Office Show. Keith, always appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Keith Smith on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Find him at Keith Smith NBA. If you're a basketball fan, that's the follow on X. Spot Track contributor Keith Smith on tonight, Front Office Show. Lakers getting sold, valuation of $10 billion. I said the Broncos went for $6 billion. I was like, I think it was $6 billion. It was just over $4 billion. It was $4.6 billion. I said $6 billion. Broncos went for $4.6 billion 2 years ago. Lakers go for $10 billion valuation? Oh, boy. Look out. Look out. I don't know if I agree with Keith that they're just tired. They look at the deal and they can make all this money. Don't these guys have all of the money? I mean, the Buss family, Mark Cuban, what else can you do with another $8 billion? I wouldn't know. Well, I mean, these people have so much money, it'd make your head spin. So Mark Cuban sells Mavericks, Celtics sell, now Lakers sell. That's interesting. I don't know if you're ever going to find out. I don't know. But I don't think it's just totally, they look at the deal and they can make all this money. I think they have so much money in their legacies of owning the team. I thought that would be the thing, but not the case. Lakers selling to Mark Walters, who's been a minority owner, and now is going to be the majority owner. He owns some other sports organizations. Who's hot and who's not? We wrap up the show. One of my favorite quarterbacks in trouble today. I don't like this.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in South Dakota. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Imagine this, a bank that is committed to you, that understands your needs, your values, and your growth. No more settling for the status quo. Pioneer Bank and Trust offers tailored solutions, innovative services, and a team of experts dedicated to your success. You deserve more attention and more support from your bank. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Ready to be part of something big? Meet the Rapid City Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
Attention, Rapid City. More big news from Gateway Autoplex. We are expanding our services with our brand new state-of-the-art auto repair shop located right behind our lot, 123 Omaha Street. Gateway Tire and Alignment. That's right, Rapid City. We're now your one-stop shop for everything auto-related. From routine maintenance to major repairs, our team of expert technicians has you covered. Plus, with our state-of-the-art equipment, you can trust that your vehicle is in the best possible hands. Visit Gateway Tire and Alignment and see why nobody beats a Gateway deal.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Clear skies tonight with a low of 60. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. High temperatures reach up to 95. Tomorrow, bright sunshine expected. Mainly clear skies. Tomorrow night, lows level off around 66. Sunny skies and dry Friday and Saturday with highs near 100. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, it's 80 degrees.
The new Mr. Liquor 2 in Rapid City is the only place in western South Dakota where you can order an ice-cold brew in their adjoining campfire bar and enjoy it while you shop. Experience unmatched selection and low prices, including Old Smoky Moonshine, only $23.49 for a $7.50. Or choose Traveler's Whiskey, the official whiskey of Major League Baseball, just $32.99 for a $7.50. Price is good at the new Mr. Liquor 2 off Catron next to Walmart, or the original Mr. Liquor on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, let's do this tonight. Been a fun show. Thanks for being a part of it. The Nate Brown Show. Tomorrow, we're back with head coach of the USD men's basketball program, Coach Peterson. He'll join us live tomorrow. 5 questions from Chris tomorrow. It'll be a fun one on a Thursday. Who's hot and who's not tonight? Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet. Who's hot category tonight? My pick, Dan Orlovsky. Say what you will about the ESPN football analyst. Dan Orlovsky came out today and said the Denver Broncos will be very, very good. Leave it to Dan. You don't have to listen to me. Leave it to Dan. Broncos will be very, very good. Pizza Ranch, who's not category. Say it ain't so. I don't love it. Shedeur Sanders got a ticket. He was going 101 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone. What is he, driving through South Dakota construction? Take it easy. Easy. 101, Shedeur. Take it easy. All right, he'll be okay. Let's not kick him while he's down. Be careful out there. Thanks for listening to the Nate Brown Show. The podcast going up now.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Our locally owned Ace stores are committed to helping our neighbors and our communities. And